Hello, salam, shalom, namaste, aloha, sat sri akal, hola, ciao, and bonjour. And I'm so excited. I have Jenessa MacKenzie with me today, who is the visionary founder and chief spiritual badass at Your Spiritual Badass, or rather, You Spiritual Badass. I'm a spiritual badass for sure. Yeah, I'm so excited to have you. I love your company's name.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, please tell me more about what you do and what You Spiritual Badass is all about.
Yes, thank you, Samia. I'm so excited to be here to talk today about, the moon and the energy of the moon. I'm excited to talk about that. So I am a spiritual life coach, NLP practitioner, master mindset coach, and an expert in intuitive and lunar living.
Mhm.
So what I really do is help women or women identifying humans to really dig deep and find themselves and, you know, um, really wash away all the bull that we have been conditioned to believe about ourselves, about the world, about society, about anything that has really dampened our true selves, and to have that connection, mind, body, soul connection back to themselves so that they can live a fully expressed life and without, worrying about judgment from others or, fears or limiting beliefs or any of those things. Like, they all just kind of go out the window once you really connect to yourself.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Now you mentioned two things that you help people with, or rather, maybe it's one thing with two parts, the intuitive and lunar living. Now I have some idea about the intuitive part, but I'm not so familiar with the lunar living part. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. So we have a moon, and without our moon, we would not exist on Earth.
True.
um, because of the gravitational pull and all of the science behind that. Like, it amazes me every time I think about it that because we are a very specific location away from the moon and the sun, that we are able to be alive on
Mm.
this earth. That blows my mind. That just shows me that, the universe, higher power, whatever you believe in is totally at work all the time and is everywhere, because one little tweak and we could all be in trouble.
Yeah.
So, lunar living is, the way I teach it now, is a lost, forgotten cycle, because everything on the earth has a cycle. It has, we go from birth, life, death, rebirth. It's all just this continuous cycle of life, really, right? And energy and amazingness. I mean, it blows my mind to even think about it all. But, for civilizations way back, they have always gone by the moon. I mean, we have our calendar, our 30-day calendar is based on thousands of years ago by the moon,
Yeah.
because the cycle of the moon is like 28 and a half to 30 days.
Yes.
So our calendars are based on how the moon revolves around the earth. And, when we understand the lunar phases and the energy of each one, it really helps us to make better decisions and to expect better results. Um, there's energies for planning, acting, celebrating, rest, release, making space. And there are 8 phases, 4 major phases and 4 like, I don't even want to call them minor phases, but minor phases of the moon. But when we follow the lunar energy in our own lives, our lives become more in flow and more easy, for lack, with more ease. I don't want to say easy, because
Yeah.
easy can be interpreted in a million different ways, but our lives can have more ease. We
Mm.
handle things better. We can make better decisions. And like I said, expect better results because of that.
Woohoo. I totally
Right?
want
Yay.
everything to make
Yeah.
life more easy or create
Right.
greater ease. Woohoo, yay. And
Yeah.
I love that like what you said about this, what you're sharing right now, this is not new knowledge. This is
Yeah.
actually just lost knowledge. And when it comes to, I just wanted to, when you were talking about how our calendars are 30-day calendars because of the moon. Actually, there are still cultures where they explicitly continue to use the the um, the the phases of the moon to set the calendar. For
Mhm.
example, in the Muslim culture, we still use the lunar calendar. And so our calendar is actually not even completely set because we're literally like every month, it's like, will it be 28 days, 29 days, 30
Yeah.
days this month? Because we're actually watching the moon and we have these like um, uh, funny for us in a sort of sense. Things happen where, we have certain holidays and we're going by the lunar calendar, and until the actual new moon starts, you don't know the exact date in the
Oh, yeah.
Gregorian calendar when the holiday will be. And so it gets a little bit funny because we're like, will our holiday be on this date or will it be on this date? And half the community just wants to follow the astronomical calculations made by the scientists for when the new moon will be, and the other half of the community wants to actually wait till they sight the new moon.
Mm.
So it's still a very much live part of many cultures,
Hmm.
that you follow the phases of the moon as part of your everyday life.
Right. But what I think has been lost is the energy that comes with the phases
Yes,
and how to follow them. I mean, you can follow the lunar calendar. You can follow, like you said, the Gregorian calendar, but how you feel and, coming into a better connection to your own self, your body, your spirit, your mind is where the energy of the moon cycles or phases come
Mm,
in.
yeah, please tell me more about that.
Yeah. So to do that, let me just start by telling you what the phases are, and then we can kind of go through what each energy is. So the new moon is, they also call it the dark moon because you don't see it in the sky at all. And that is the time that's like the beginning, like, you would know the beginning of the new cycle. So we set our intentions, we figure out what we want to accomplish during the month. Um, we reflect on the past month. We also can, um, the full moon is a little bit better to like let go of stuff, but you can, when you're reflecting in the new moon, you can also look, when you're looking at your past month, be like, okay, what did not really serve me last month, or what didn't really work for me last month, and how can I tweak it this month going forward? Um, but the new moon is really you're getting ready. It's like you're planting your seed for your flower, and now you stick it in the dirt, you cover it with dirt, and now you're like, okay, I know that my intention is to grow this flower. So at the end of it, you're going to have a big, beautiful flower, right? So that's your intention. The second major moon phase is the first quarter, which is when the moon is exactly half lit and half dark. I call those phases like the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde phases, because it really is pure duality, right?
Uh-huh.
It's half light, half dark, and you can feel a little of both
Uh,
during those phases, because they're right in the middle, and you're like, okay, do I go? Do I stop? But we'll get to that in a minute. Then the third one is the full moon, and that's like the mother energy, the big energy of the lunar cycle. And then we have the last quarter moon, which is another half moon that leads right back into the new moon. So in between those cycles, we have what's called waxing between the new moon and the full moon, and then waning energy between the full moon and the new moon. Waxing energy is growing energy. So it's a new moon, and then more and more and more light starts shining. It's sunlight shining onto the moon that shows you more and more of the moon until it gets to be full. And then the waning energy is decreasing energy, because the light is going the opposite way. So now it's going back into the dark moon, the new moon. So we kind of already covered, what the new moon is. It's like that you planted your seed. You're like, here's what here's what my intention is for this month. And then when we set intentions, they are more of like, you can set a goal, which has a tangible outcome. And your intention is really what you need to be to create that goal or bring that goal into fruition. Does that make sense?
yes, yes.
That's how I teach my people right now in the challenge that I do every month.
Wow.
So because it's a manifestation challenge, it can, you can use the moon energy for so many different things, right? You can use it to manifest something specific. You can, use it in daily life. You can use it to garden. You can use it to plan out, like I plan my business marketing by the moon cycles, my launches by the moon cycles. You can, like, your exercise and health and wellness routines.
Mm,
Like, it's a free for all when it comes to this, right? But we also know that life happens, right? So sometimes when, the moon energy says, oh, it's time to rest or to pause or, to go, 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 sometimes it doesn't always quite happen in life that way, right? So I guess the great thing about it is that if you know what energy you're in, you can, still do the thing that you need to do and then rest after.
right.
Or you can, like, if you're not feeling well or something in the go, go, go energy, it's more important to be listening to your body than it is the moon energy, right? Because our health comes first. We can't fill up anyone else's cup if ours isn't filled, which the moon cycle gives you a chance to do.
Right. And in some cases, like if you're feeling sick and the moon energy is like go, 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 maybe the way that you can go, go, go in that moment is by taking a rest and taking better care of yourself,
Yes.
because it's about, like you said, filling that cup up again. And
Hmm.
that's a way of going to.
It is.
Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. It is absolutely because, you know, I think in our society today, we're conditioned to go, go, go all the time. Um, if we're not like, especially with entrepreneurs, like if we're not working, we're not making money, which is bull. um, or if, as mothers or wives or partners or whatever, even just ourselves, if we're only responsible for ourselves, we feel like if we're not doing something, then we're not contributing to life or we're not doing enough.
yeah, but it's this definition of what you think you must be doing to feel like you're doing something worthy. I was actually doing an interview with another coach earlier this month, or was it last month? And we were talking about how one of the things he mentioned about himself, he said, no matter what happens, he exercises for a couple of hours every day. And that's part of how he takes better care of himself and creates better balance in his life.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't exercise for a couple of hours every day, but I do with great discipline do various forms of meditation for like a couple of hours every day,
Hmm.
sometimes more than a couple of hours. And I don't see that as time that I'm just wasting or whatever. It's
Hmm.
actually critical time that I'm investing in my growth and my wellness. And it actually enables me to stay in the high positive energy vibrations that I need to be able to manifest what I want in my life with greater ease and do the good work that I do,
Hmm.
and so it might seem to people who don't understand the power and the need for such self-care practices to, they might think, oh, this is like luxury or waste of time or whatever. But I think that's just a lack of understanding
Yeah.
of just how necessary these things are for us.
Yeah. And like if somebody had said to me, you need to exercise for 2 hours a day to like keep your mental health well, I'd be like, no, no, no. Not that I don't move my body because I do, but just, you know, it doesn't, I think that's where we get disconnected, right? Is we want to change something about ourselves, right? Whether it's our weight, our, current situation, the reality that we've built for ourselves, um, whatever it is. And we go on the internet, right? And we're like, how do I change this? So you're looking externally for somebody to tell you how to change something in your life. And while I am all about learning, we are all constantly learning, and you should be constantly learning. I mean, just waking up in the morning and living your life, you are learning something, right? That's how I look at it. So I'm not saying don't go, looking for knowledge, because you always want to be looking for knowledge. Just always know that you have the answers already Your intuition guides you. It's that little GPS of life. Like, doesn't, life doesn't come with a manual, but it comes with a GPS. You just got to plug it in.
I love that. That
Yeah.
that's just brilliant. Life doesn't come with a manual, but it does come with a GPS. Brilliant.
Yeah. So when you're listening to that, you always have all the answers inside you. Usually what stops us from making a change is fear. And it's fear of it could be a lot of things, right? But mostly it's fear of the unknown. Like, if this changes, then what? I'm going to have to let go of something. I'm going to have to change the way I am being. You know, I have to follow through. Like, that was one of my big ones. Like, I love to start shit, but I did not like to finish it. Or I would wait until the last one. I was the biggest procrastinator ever, right? And I would, like, in high school, the book report got done like the night before it was due. Like, reading the book and the book report got done the night before it was due. And it was, assigned a month beforehand. So yes, I am I don't even want to say recovered procrastinator, because that's just a label that we put on ourselves, which becomes a belief. So, but yeah, fear really is the biggest reason why we don't change. Have you ever heard the story of the dog that is sitting on the nail?
The dog that's sitting on the nail? No.
Yeah. So I heard the story from one of my mentors, and I love it so much because it's a mind blower. Like, and you're like, oh my God, I do that all the time, right? Like, and then I'll tell you the story in 1 second, but once you realize that you can, like, once you bring it to consciousness, you're like, where am I doing that? And then you're constantly asking yourself, am I doing that right now? Is this fear-based not doing it, or is it like intuition-based not doing it? Is it ego-based not wanting to change, or whatever it is? So there's a guy walking down the street, and he hears a dog howling. And he's like, what the heck? So he, walks over to where the dog is, and there's a man standing with the dog. And the guy sees that the dog is sitting on a board with nails in it. So there is a nail, like, piercing the dog's probably butt, whatever, piercing the dog in some way. So the dog is howling. And the guy's like, oh my God, did you know that your dog is sitting on a nail? And the guy, owner of the dog, says, yep, I do. And the guy on the sidewalk says, well, why doesn't he get up? And the guy says, because it will hurt more. Does that make sense?
It will hurt more to get up from sitting on the nail.
Yeah. So let me explain.
Yeah, please. I think I might.
She's like, don't get that one.
Yeah, not entirely.
No, and that's cool, because some people don't. Some people are like, why wouldn't he just get up, right?
Yeah.
But think about this. If you took your hand, right, and you slammed it on a nail, and the nail went through your hand, it would hurt, right, for a minute.
Yeah.
And then it would, like, kind of not hurt as much.
Oh, because the body
for a minute
starts to numb the area and so forth.
Yeah, because your body now says, okay, like, this is uncomfortable, but I can deal with it. So it's like the mediocre, right? So it's like sitting in the mediocre of your life. But if you were to pull your hand off that nail, it would really hurt.
Yes.
And it would really, and you know that it's going to really hurt when you pull it off that nail. But when you pull it off the nail, it can now heal and become whole again.
Yeah. Okay.
So most of us are sitting on the nail. And so we're sitting in this mediocre part of our lives where we're like just kind of going through the motions. Yep, we wake up, we, eat our breakfast, we do whatever we do in the morning, we go to work, we come home, we eat dinner, we go to bed, we do it again. Like it's this hamster wheel, right?
Yeah.
But is that really what we want? I mean, is that what we were put on this earth to do? In my opinion, the answer to that is hell no. Right?
I agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, yes. Do we need money to survive on this planetary, plane, this 3D plane that we're on? Yes. We have to have money to survive, right? We can't eat. We can't have shelter. We can't have clothes. All of those things. But we can always breathe. The air, we always have oxygen, right? So food, water, and air are literally the only two things a human needs to survive. So being on this hamster wheel of life, most humans are, they do this, the hamster wheel for like 50, 65 years, whatever it is. And then they're like, yay, now I can retire. And then unfortunately, most of them won't make it another 5 years, right? Or 10 years. And they're like, then they have these regrets. Like, I should have done more with my life. I should have gone on more vacations. I should have enjoyed the things. All of these things.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of us sit now, especially, a lot of the people that come into my challenge now they're a little bit past that. They're like starting to get off the nail. They're like, I know I want to get off this nail,
Yes.
but I know this is going to kind of suck when I do. But I also know that it's going to be a big transformation change, and I am going to be whole and understand who I am at the core so that I can enjoy my life. Like I consider us like souls that came down here being, little souls that are here in human form that came down here and, higher power, universe, God, whatever you believe in, said, this is a playground. You are supposed to experience life as a human on Earth. That is what you signed up for.
Yeah.
So are we really experiencing life when we sit on this hamster wheel?
Yeah.
I know we totally got off subject here.
No.
But
This is important.
yeah. So we can bring this right back into the lunar energy, right?
Yes.
So when you learn about lunar energy and you learn and unlearn that, there are, and you should, because you are a living being, you have a cycle.
Yes.
And every month you have a cycle as a human being.
Yes.
And you have to take time to reflect and plan and do and celebrate and rest and pause and do all those things. Like you have to, this natural moon energy tells you to fill up your own cup. And so many of us don't, whether that's, like you said, I don't remember the examples you gave a few minutes ago, but whether that's like, going to get a massage or just sitting down in your comfy chair with a tea and a blanket and just sitting there enjoying your tea, like that's filling up filling up your cup can be anything.
Right. Right.
Anything you want it to be, where you're like, this is my intention. My intention right now is to sit down and just refill my own energy.
Yes. And there are maybe this is something we can talk about next time, Janessa, like the different ways to fill up your energy, because like all of us are doing some things that help us stay happy and sane and well, to the extent that we do. But we all probably also have gaps,
Yeah.
because of which we are not as happy or as peaceful or as well as we can be, or we have the potential to be. So it's
Mm,
like, how do you recognize, like, keep doing the good things you are doing that are helping, but then how do you also recognize the gaps and then fill in the gaps? And so one of the things that I'm learning from you today is that understanding the lunar cycle and the energies is one of the ways we can begin to recognize where the gaps might be
mm-hmm.
for us, because by understanding the lunar living um, cycle, it's a way to understand how to create better balance in your life. So you can
Yes.
see, okay, this I'm already doing and I'm good, keep doing this. And I'm missing things over here, so let's fill in that gap.
Yeah. Yes. This, you can do lunar living big picture, like what you just talked about.
Mhm.
You can do lunar living smaller picture by like following it, you know, monthly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bigger picture being what are the gaps that I'm kind of missing in my life right now and how do I fill those up? Or I don't even want to say fill them up, but how do I create space to be my best self?
Yes.
And then, when you do it monthly, it is, setting that specific intention for the month and one specific intention for the month.
Uh,
Because like, here's what I tell my people. I'm like, if you don't know what you want your intention to be, if you have a million ideas in your head of what you want your intention to be, write them all down on a piece of paper and then literally close your eyes and just move your hand. And then when you feel, when your intuition says stop,
mm,
stop. That is your intention for the month and stick with it, you know?
I love that.
And that's just also teaching them to feel into their intuition.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So please set an intention, and not a lot of intentions. Set one intention for yourself every month and allow your intuition to guide you as to what that intention is for you, for
Yeah.
this month or whichever month you're in. And hey, I know a lot of people struggle when it comes to being able to listen to their intuition, even being able to recognize what their intuition is saying to them, or if it's their intuition talking, or if it's their ego or something else. So please reach out to Janessa for help when you need help with that. You can reach out to me also. That's something that I also love to do, is help people tap in to their intuition. I also use the language of the heart, the spiritual
Mm.
heart, learning to connect with our spiritual heart, which is also the voice of our intuition. So anyway, you have lots of help that and support that you can get if this is something you need help and support with. We'll put Janessa's links so you can connect with her in the show notes. We'll put my links so you can connect with me in the show notes. And yeah, just once again, thank you so much for joining us, Janessa. And I will
Thank
look
you for
forward
having
to
me.
having you back again.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yay. Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode. Hope you're getting value out of it. For your information, this episode has been sponsored by the Happiness 101 program. Are you a change maker, coach, trainer, or healer? Are chains of fear holding you back from making the impact and income you desire? Using a unique combination of positive psychology and the spiritual wisdom of our most effective change makers, the Happiness 101 program helps you break through your limiting beliefs and manifest the abundance and success you desire with fun and ease. Interested? Book a free Happiness 101 exploration call with me, your happiness expert, Samia Bano. Just use my online calendar link in the show notes.